Welcome to another edition of Dan Frequently Asked Questions. In this edition, we're going to be discussing pregnancy and freediving. Keep watching. We got a question from a diver saying she's 13 weeks pregnant and she enjoys doing free diving to around 10 meters and whether it would be safe for her to do so. That's a fascinating question, and clearly, unlike compressed gas diving, the concern here is not decompression illness or decompression sickness or gas embolism. But what may be relevant is the effect that free diving has on oxygen saturation, both for the mother and for the fetus. Now, if you do fairly benign, in other words, you don't essentially wait till you are exhausted in terms of the amount of oxygen in your lungs before returning to the surface, and you do very, very benign exposures, maybe just descending for a minute or so, coming up to the surface, and maybe doing that for 30 minutes, that's unlikely to cause any problems. However, if you are one of the underwater athletes that spends 3 to 5 minutes underwater on a single breath, and you do this for several hours in a stretch, it probably isn't in the best interests of your baby. Just like we tend to take vitamins, take better care of ourselves, don't eat the wrong foods, and all the other things in order to have a healthy pregnancy, so it clearly would not be advisable to expose your baby to oxygen deprivation during the pregnancy. At least you are at 13 weeks, which means most of the organ development is already completed, and it's now just a matter of those organs increasing in size as the baby continues to develop. So the critical phase is actually passed. But again, my advice would be, if you do free diving, don't do it to the extreme, and just as a rule of thumb, don't spend more than a minute underwater, and don't do it for more than 1 to a maximum of 2 hours continuously. And then, of course, it will be important to follow up the growth of the baby, and if there's any indication of growth retardation or delayed growth in the womb, then I would say immediately eliminate diving from your prenatal or antenatal management and period, just for the safety and to be sure. What one doesn't want is to have some problem with a baby and then wondering, was it because I did this? Was it because I went diving? We wouldn't want you to be burdened by that. So we wish you a healthy and a happy pregnancy, and morning sickness should be over by now, so that isn't a consideration anymore. And at this stage, it should be reasonable as long as you keep to the recommendations we've given. Thanks for the question, and until next time, safe diving.